Hey everybody, RPG here. So I recently put out a video on how to add and remove bezels on RetroPie with the Bezel project, and once I put this video out there, I started getting a lot of questions from people asking me, how can we use bezels to begin with when emulating retro games on, RetroPie and some of the other ones out there? So I thought this was an excellent question, and I want to put together a quick video to address this. So the reason that we use bezels for the most part is because when we go back to when these original retro games were first created on their original consoles, the TVs back then were much different than what they are today. Back then we used a 4:3 aspect ratio on your standard TV. That means that it was a full screen picture, which was a much more square TV than what we have nowadays, which is much more rectangular. They're definitely now wider than they are tall. So we end up with what's now 16:9 aspect ratio. So if we take a game that was developed for 4:3 aspect ratio and we fit it onto a 16:9 modern day TV, we end up with cutoff on the top and bottom because we're taking a picture that was developed to be about this size and we're putting it on something that's rectangular. So we end up stretching it. So to fill it width-wise, we have to lose, parts on the top and bottom, or we can custom fit it to 16:9, but it looks really strange. It looks very squashed, and oftentimes we do end up with cutoff, and we also end up seeing a lot of really poor resolution because we're taking that original picture and we're stretching it. So now we can see much more pixelation, which on game collections for game systems like Nintendo Entertainment System, which were obviously the 1980s into early 1990s, Super Nintendo, Genesis, stuff like that. These were much more pixelated to begin with, so now we're stretching them and we're just emphasizing that pixelation even more. So there are different techniques you can do to modernize them and make them look good on the modern day TV. We can do some smoothing, we can do a couple different things, but for the most part, it still just doesn't look right, in my opinion. Some of those later collections like PlayStation and 64, Dreamcast, those we could stretch a little bit more and customize to definitely look a little bit better. In my opinion, they still look best on the original aspect ratio that they were developed on. So 4:3 looks better in my opinion. And when we have a emulation platform and we put together a collection with everything from the 1980s all the way through to mid 2000s, we want to kind of have some continuity there, and I think, in my opinion, it looks more professional if everything is the same aspect ratio. If we jump into let's say, PlayStation game and it's 16:9, and we don't have bezels, and then we jump into a Sega Genesis collection and it has bezels, it just doesn't look uniform to me. So when we put together games, it typically is going to be all on 4:3, and then we end up with gaps on either side of the picture because, again, we're using a 16:9 modern day TV rectangle and we're putting a 4:3 video inside of it. So we have open spaces on both sides. So usually it would just be blacked out. It doesn't look real tidy or professional. So we put these bezels on there with some really cool graphics, and it really just improves the overall experience of everything. And then we put it up on a HD TV or 4K TV, 2K TV, whatever you have. And it just looks really bold and really nice and well put together. So that's the reason we use bezels. It's really just to fill in those gaps and not end up having to take the original games meant for 4:3, stretch it to 16:9, and end up with, the cutoff either on the top or bottom, or just a really warped kind of version of it. And we also have those pixelation issues that do tend to pop up no matter what we do. Again, you can customize some of those collections, get into them a little bit. It takes a lot of work, but you can make them look better than what they would be just stretching them right off the bat. But it's a lot of work, and a lot of times if you're a purist and somebody that really enjoys how they were developed to look and looked originally like I am, then 4:3 is probably the way to go. And adding those bezels just really improves the overall experience. And again, like I said, putting it up on a modern day TV that way with those nice bezels looking really nice and bold, I think it's definitely the way to go, and certainly looks really nice and professionally done. So that's exactly why we're using 4:3 for the most part on RetroPie, and why we're using bezels. You can easily remove them if you don't like that look and you want to stretch them out and try to customize them and bring them up to speed for the modern day gaming experience, you can certainly do that. That was the intention of that video that showed you both how to install them and remove them. But all in all, that's exactly why we have these retro games on 4.3 with bezels. So if you enjoyed this video and it answered your questions, be sure to hit the like button on the video. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel because we do a whole bunch of different videos based around retro gaming and different emulation platforms, specifically Batocera and RetroPie, or what we really dive into the most. So a lot of great stuff on here. Definitely hit the subscribe button and be sure to check us out online on our website as well, www.retropieguy.com. Thanks for watching.